for the Berryessa Union School District Board of Trustees. Okay. Oh, he put name cards out there. Oh, cool. All right, I'll explain the format for the forum when we get to that part. My name is Linda Locke. I'm president of the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council, and we welcome you all here tonight. What did I do with my glasses? Oh, they're right here. You look a little blurry out there, so I thought I better put these on. Okay, so we have the minutes. The minutes were sent out of our last meeting. We had a meeting in July to kind of find out what folks wanted to do for the rest of the year, for BCAC to do actually. And they went out on our, they're on our website, and then they went out electronically to all the members. So does anybody have any comments about the minutes for July 11? July 11. No. Well, seeing none, then we will accept as written. Okay. And Susan is here with, where'd she go? She went out to get the water, I think. Oh, okay. Susan went out to get some water.
I was just handed this, so I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but we started a beginning balance of $3,400. We had an income of 210 minus the United Neighborhoods donation, $200 minus art festival donation, 75, and meeting coffee is 25. So it gives us $3,310.16. And for the city of San Jose grants, beginning balance of 10,000, income from cycle 4 from the city, 5,000. So a total ending balance of 15,000.
Thank you, sir. Well done. Okay. Now, usually Captain Traer is here from the police department, but I don't see him and I didn't hear from him. So hopefully that's not a bad sign. And I don't see anybody from the sheriff. So tonight we have a new person coming from an official from the California Highway Patrol, Captain Christian Oliver.
Hi, how's everybody doing tonight? Good. This is my first time I've met with this group. So last time the CHP was here, Linda, was when? Long time ago. So it helps out to find out what events are going on. I've been in the San Jose area now for the past 8 months. I came here from the Oakland area. So this is a promotion to the rank of captain, which is the commander role for San Jose. It's always important to have community relations, and I'm still, after 8 months, I can't call myself the new guy anymore, but I am trying to find inroads and ways with community members, and especially through forums like this. So I don't have an agenda about what to talk about specifically. I understand it's a school board election tonight or meeting. So tell you a little bit about what the CHP is doing in the community and go from there. If I can ask, how far reaching is the Berryessa community? What makes up the Berryessa community geographically? Okay. And it goes, and so our jurisdiction goes into the unincorporated areas of this community. So would anybody from Sierra Road be here? Yes. Okay. So that would be part of the same community. Other side of the freeway. on the west side. Okay, so we handle a lot of the unincorporated areas, and so the sheriff's department as well. So city of San Jose would be San Jose PD. So what we try to do is concentrate on the on saving lives first and foremost. Our mission is to save lives, and that's what we're out there to do. So we do that through enforcement, engineering, education, and partnerships. So enforcement, we're known as the people who are out there issuing citations, and we do get complaints that we don't issue enough citations. The San Jose area that I am the commander of goes from Fremont or south of Fremont to basically the San Jose city limits over to Mountain View and then up on Highway 17. So it's a large portion of Santa Clara County, and we only have so many officers to do that. So if you can imagine what's going on here is probably a reflection of what's going on in the greater Santa Clara area. And we're trying to assist everywhere we can. So our primary jurisdiction, we're known as the law enforcement on the freeways, but we also have the jurisdiction in the unincorporated areas. We've had, along with other law enforcement agencies, we've had a lot of people leave the career of law enforcement. And one of our biggest challenges, besides saving lives, is having enough police officers to join us in accomplishing that mission. So unfortunately, what that means for the San Jose area is if we have 1,000 officers and we reduce that down to 600 officers, that means less service, less officers there out on the road. We are seeing an uptick in the number of officers here in the area, which is great. So we currently have 18 officers that are being trained right now with other officers so they can then go out on their own. And we're hoping to see that number increase so we can start increasing our efforts in the community. We are constantly responding to calls for service. Calls for service, whether it be tire in the road, calls for service mean there's a car on the side of the road, a car crash, or an emergency. Unfortunately, maybe something you've seen here in the area is the number of crashes have remained the same, but the calls for unsheltered people have also increased exponentially. So that has become, over the past few years, a whole new aspect of our job that has increased. So that also causes a response to that. In the past 3 weeks, we've had 2 deaths, traffic-related deaths, 2 people that were walking on the freeway that we associate with homelessness. That is a problem in the community. So we are looking to reduce those incidents, and we have a lot of incidents on the freeway, which leads us to places like Sierra Road or Quimby or Mount Hamilton and our response out there. I'm gonna guess that you probably don't see a ton of us on Sierra Road, right? Okay. So, well, we know, I know that's not true, but you know, maybe we're just, I understand. Well, I'm still gonna talk, and then I'll take questions and responses afterwards. So what I'm trying to do is use what I have and deploy effectively and efficiently and responsibly. And a lot of that is, hey, you have a call on 680. You were also responsible for what's going on Quimby. You're also responsible for what's going out on Mount Hamilton. So I'm trying to allocate our resources in a responsible manner, as well as, you know, remember that, hey, this is a community, and this city and this area and this county was built on members like yourself. I've looked into what we can do. I have recently received from the County Board of Supervisors authority for more radar enforcement on unincorporated roads in this area, which I think is great. I have put forth a sunset patrol because I've received complaints that there are people not from the area that are going up on the mountain and looking at the sunset, and they're parking in the middle of the road. They're throwing beer bottles. They're exhibiting signs of speed, and it's become more unsafe. So we've put out a sunset patrol. I'm also looking into putting out a special enforcement unit, which would consist of our motorcycle units getting out there and doing special enforcement specifically for traffic complaints, as well as, you know, serving your community as well as other communities that are out there. So those are some of the things that I'm trying to do as a captain. I'm trying to balance it all with what I have, and hopefully I gain your trust through the efforts that we do. And I'm always here to listen to better ideas that you have or ways that I can improve. And I'll go ahead and start with your suggestion.
First of all, congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't know how you can be out there in the freeway, and then all the traffic issues, no longer the sheriff's department. And so it's kind of different. But I don't understand the concept. I disagree with our supervisor. We signed that contract to make sure you provide traffic issues in Sierra Road, which is the public area. It should be the deputy sheriff, who's supposed to be there all day. So we live as a community up there, it's been tough because the numbers increase, 4th of July, whatever they said. You just said it all, everything you said is good. In terms of going by, parking, and I go on and on. In San Jose, it's very scarce if they ever come up. I have my cameras, I don't see a deputy sheriff. And I see CHP, I haven't seen you in about a year. That doesn't mean I don't support you, I support you. I don't agree with the contract, I don't know why they had that kind of contract. We pay taxes to the county, and you're the regional control. If you want 6 days, why are you gonna come over there in a reasonable time? They can't. I mentioned that a couple times before in the morning, about 45 minutes later on, come on, how you doing? Can I be helpful? You'll give the information I have and use my camera many times. And I appreciate it. Well, I was just trying to finish, if you don't mind, it's a serious issue. We have crime, we have killing, dangerous battle movement, but we support our officers.
Great. And I'm looking to approve, and we have had officers up there, at least the one either that or they're filling out bad time cards. So we are trying to improve our service up there. We work with the sheriffs, closely with the sheriffs, and I'm trying to really wrap my head around what we have and what we can do up there. But thank you for your thoughts. Go in the back real quick.
Well, I just think something's doing copper wire might not be true. There's at least one of the signs, various roads, it's dark at night, the lights don't come on. And I'm wondering if you guys can see that. Fix it, find out what's wrong.
Sure. So Caltrans is going to handle the lightings and signs and the electrical on the freeway, and then the county roads is going to handle that. I believe there is definitely a resource to call. They want to know when these things are out. It's a safety issue as well as just, you know, okay. I'm the CHP. So, yeah.
If you're driving by on the freeway and you see a sign that's dark.
Okay. So my responsibility every week as a captain is to take freeway damage and make Caltrans known of any damage that happens on the freeway. So we have drunk drivers, we have non-drunk drivers hitting the K-rail, hitting the guardrails, hitting signs, hitting light poles, and that those crash information goes into our crashes every day. And then I get a list, hey Cap, here's the stuff that was going, and then I make Caltrans aware. So they're aware. County roads, I'm not getting too much about the copper wire, but copper wire is still a big issue. If I didn't say it before, one of your biggest advocates is Senator Cortese, and we've had a few meetings where we've talked about these issues. We're responding to problems that that constituents have brought up to him, such as cars being down in ravine. And it's because of people like you that are making us aware of the problems that are out there. So I'm working on the speed thing, but if there's a copper wire issue, if you're not getting through with the proper people, whether it be Caltrans or county roads, then I'm going to be one of your resources. So.
Yeah, I don't know if this is your domain or not, but if one was going to try and orchestrate cleanup of a key exit ramp or egress or ingress, is there something that the California Highway Patrol?
So that is one of my biggest priorities.
Can they facilitate or help orchestrate the resources necessary for us to be able to do that?
So there are different organizations that you can work with or through to be advocates for that. But as far as the cleanups, it's a long process. Hopefully, some of you have seen some of the cleanup that we've done. I'm really proud of the cleanups that we've had. Currently, Caltrans has now a 2-tier system. It was a 4-tier system as far as what triggers a immediate response, and it has a lot to do with safety. So when you're seeing the fires on the side of the freeway, when you're seeing dangerous things just beyond the dwelling, that requires a response by Caltrans, and when CHP is there. So I don't know if you've seen any progress on at 101 and Story Road, which may not be part of this community, but that's actually happening in a lot of different areas where we're trying to provide resources for the unsheltered, because we can't just say, you know, move somewhere else. This is not the spot, no matter what your feelings are on that. So it's working with city and county government as far as providing resources in that way, cleaning up the area, and then maintaining it as part of our job as well.
No, but if we were to orchestrate and get a group of volunteers that would be willing to go out there to clean that area up, we would need some resources to allow us to do that.
Yeah.
That's the question.
So again, you're talking to a cop here. For me, it's a safety issue. Just going out there with the kindness of your heart, going, hey, I'd like to help you. You don't know what you're walking into. And being that it is state property, we're going to say, hey, we're going to handle this. But if you want to be on the receiving end of an organization that provides care for unsheltered people.
Well, not unsheltered people. I'm just talking about.
Okay. Why don't we talk offline about that real quick, if you don't mind? Because I don't want to take too much of your time. But again, I'm there. I'm a resource. I'll be standing in the back. I don't want to take away from this meeting. No, everybody knows Ross. They just don't know me. So if they could put in the meeting minutes, my contact information or the CHPs, so we can continue this conversation. And so we can continue here. I think that would be great. Good. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. We're going to now have an overview of the Berryessa School District so that people understand what the purpose is of having a school board and what their responsibilities are, what the school district looks like. So Roxanne, Superintendent Dr. Roxanne Wente.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Roxanne Fuentes. I'm the proud superintendent for Berryessa Union School District. This is my 6th year as superintendent here in Berryessa. It's been a wonderful community to serve, and we certainly appreciate all of the support of our families and community residents. We're passing out just a few packets of information just so you have general context of the district, who we are, and the children that we serve. So just to go really quickly, because I know we want to have sufficient time to hear from our candidates this evening, the mission of the Berryessa Union School District is to provide all of our students the skills to become lifelong learners and become successful 21st century citizens in a global society. So we really, what does that look like in Berryessa? That means trying to provide our students a well-rounded well-rounded education, trying to provide them as many opportunities as possible, not only just in academics, but also in enrichment, which this group has had the opportunity to hear our talented students in music and choirs. So just ensuring that all our children have those resources. On the next slide, you do see a breakdown of our student population. We have a highly diverse community in Berryessa. You will see that the majority of our students are part of the Asian population, and there's a lot of variety there. We have 24% of our students that are Latino, 11% that are Filipino, 5% two or more races, 4% white, 1.5% African American. In addition to the diverse student population, our students also have a variety of demographics that they bring with them to school. We have a little over 27% of our students who are English language learners, meaning that they come to us speaking another primary language and then they learn English through their program with us. We also have about 23% of our students that do qualify for free and reduced lunch. So based on their family's financial backgrounds, they qualify for that. And then UPP means unduplicated pupil count. And those are our students that qualify. That's the number of students based on the budget that we receive additional funds for students who require more. So our English learners, our foster youth, our homeless students, our students who come from low economic backgrounds, we get additional resources to be able to provide supports to ensure that they're successful. Then on the next slide, you see our goals, our LCAP goals. So our LCAP is a 3-year plan. We put together our goals through a community-wide engagement. We do strategic planning each year that involves not only our board, but district administration, teachers, support staff, as well as community residents to identify what the priorities of our school district will be. And so you'll see here the top 3 goals that we've been working on since 2020. So the first one is ensuring a safe and productive learning environment, both a physical environment as well as the school and district culture. We want to make sure we have happy children across our community. Goal 2, we always focus on academics and making sure we provide an excellent education. And then goal number 3, it's a big part of our district, is making sure we're engaging our parent community in all of the work that we do. So we're always investing in different avenues of how we can increase our communication and collaboration. Towards the end, you'll see there our district budget. So we operate approximately $90 million budget. We have there almost all of it goes into expenditure. So funds come in and they go out. Primarily about 87% of our budget goes towards staffing. So it's paying the salaries of our staff. And then as well as materials and other supports and services that we have for our students. We have a reserve of 6.5 million at this time. We're required to maintain a 3% reserve. And then just the last slide is just some recent accomplishments that I know many of you that have been attending our BCAC meetings. Usually whenever we get a recognition, I try to share that with our community so you get a sense of how we're doing. Our most recent recognition was just a few months ago from the California Department of Education. We were identified a district who received the Pivotal Practice Program Award. So that award was given to school districts who went above and beyond to service their students during the time of COVID and the pandemic. So we're really proud by the number of lunches we serve to our students and community, the amount of Chromebooks and hotspot access we immediately dispensed, and then also being able to have health services available for both our students and our staff. You'll also see there at the top, both in 2021 and 2022, we received statewide awards for our communication communication platforms that we've used in the district in terms of video messaging. Last year, we won Best Newsletter for the state in terms of school districts. So we're really proud of those recognitions because, as I mentioned, that is a goal of ours, continually focusing on how can we continue to put out information about how our students and districts are performing. In 2021, Morill Middle School, so not too far from here, got recognized as a statewide California distinguished middle school. Majority of our school sites in Berryessa do have this award, and Morill Middle School is our most recent recipient. In addition, those of you that are parents in the audience, you may be very familiar with the Bay Area Parent Magazine. So they do an annual review of the best of the best. Our schools are consistently listed as gold and silver award recipients in that magazine. Most recently, Cherrywood Middle School this year, they're recognized twice. They received a gold as an elementary school, and they received a silver as offering our dual immersion Mandarin program. And as last thing there to highlight, we launched our Mandarin dual immersion program in 2018. This year is our first year where we have the full breadth of K-5 continuum for our students for that program opportunity. We're the only dual immersion program in the city of San Jose, and we already have received statewide attention for how our program is operating, and we're really excited to transition it next year to our middle school. So just a few highlights to share with you some of the good work that's happening in Berryessa Union. Thank you.
Now I will explain the format, maybe. No problem. So what we'll do, since we have four people running for 3 seats, they will introduce themselves. They have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, say whatever they like to say. And then we have about, how many questions did we have? I counted it, 13, 12, 13 questions, huh? 12. It is 13, it says right here. Okay, we have 13 questions, and each one of you will ask, will answer the same question, okay? And then we'll take turns being first. Each question will take 1.5 minutes, and that's it. And so Roxanne has the signs, and as you go along, you'll see, you have half a minute left, and then you have to stop. Okay, so we will begin with Thelma. 2 minutes. Ready? No.
Thank you. Thank you to BCAC for this evening, for inviting us here in this forum. My name, and good evening, everyone. My name is Thelma Boak, and I've lived in this community since 1976. My husband and I actually chose this community to start a family. And because we loved it here. When we first saw it, we really fell in love with the community. So we settled here, and he started his aerospace engineering career, and I started teaching at Independence High School, and later on became one of their principals, and then transferred over to Silver Creek High School and became one of their principals. I am so involved with education. After almost 25 years at Independence and in the East Side Union High School District, I feel that I know the students in the East Side. Therefore, that's why I'm seeking for re-election, because my whole life has been dedicated to inspiring our youth, giving them the best education possible, and so that they can become not only global citizens, but be successful in life, and at the same time be contributing members of our society. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jariah. It's like Mariah, but with a J. And I've met you all previously because I actually currently serve as a district representative for the California State Assembly with Assemblymember Lee's office. But besides that, I actually grew up here. This is a community where I grew up. I went to Brooktree Elementary School. I went to Morrell Middle School. Then I continued on to Piedmont, Evergreen Community College, and San Jose State. So I've been in Berryessa my entire life. And I really want to just give back and serve the community that raised me. Like I mentioned earlier, as a district representative, I already am able to understand how to bring funding down from the state level all down to our local schools. And I want to continue to do that. And on the school board, I really want to advocate to meet students where they're at, whether that be to help them catch up and get to grade level or go beyond that. So I'm talking about after school programs, after school tutoring. And I really just want to make sure that our community is involved in the process and just ensure that our voice as a former student and as a lifelong resident, that voice can be communicated on the school board. And so I'm so excited to be here. And I'm also endorsed by both candidates up here and by so many of our local elected officials already. So thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Hugo Jimenez, and I'm currently president of the board. I'm finishing up my second term, and I hope that the good people of Berryessa, including you folks, will find it fit to reelect me to the third term. We've done a lot in the last 8 years. There's still a lot to do, and for me, education is it's a personal thing. I'm from an immigrant family. I'm an immigrant myself. I came here when I was 5 years old. Entered kindergarten without knowing a lick of English. Learned in school, in kindergarten, elementary school. I didn't go to Berryessa schools. I went to San Jose Unified and Alum Rock schools, but I did go to Independence High School when Ms. BCAC was a teacher there. And I had classmates who went to Berryessa schools. And I saw that it was actually, it seemed to me, having gone to Alum Rock schools, that they had gotten better education than I did at the elementary level. And so I knew since high school, I said, when it's my turn to have a family and to raise a family, I want to grow up in the Berryessa area. And so, that's where I moved specifically for the schools, first and foremost. And my background also as a reporter. And so I used to go to the Milpitas Unified School District board meetings. And I also wrote for the Berryessa Bulletin, for those of you who remember that. And so this place is, it's near and dear to my heart. And now it's been my home for 15 years. And I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are currently in Berryessa schools. And I have another one that will be beginning kindergarten next year. So, and to me, that's why there's a lot of work to do. And that's why I still want to remain involved. Thank you.
Hello, maybe good evening, everyone. Thank you, BCAC, invite me for the meeting. I respond late. My name is Li Juan Puzar. Maybe you call me Jasmine. Yes, look at my face. I'm new here. It's Asian face, yes. And I want to be here as 8 years and a half. I just got my bachelor degree from economics. The reason why I want to attend for election, maybe I just want to for sure every kid can get real education, and my goal is that the kids get a better education and then through university and get a better job. This is my value, nothing at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I want to explain about, there'll be no questions coming from the audience. We sent out information to our co-sponsors of BCAC, the Penitentiary Neighborhood Association, the Berryessa Business Association, the Democratic Club of San Jose, and members of the Not on Noble group. So we sent them or asked them to submit questions. And then we had a committee that went through them. So they ended up with 13 questions. So that's where the questions have come from. So there'll be no questions from the audience. So, and there'll be no clapping after each one. So wait till they're all done and then you can clap. Thank you. We will start with Thelma. Why are you running for school board? Tell us a bit about your background and experience. Well, not too much, but she's got a lot. Background and experiences.
As a principal, I know projected. Thank you. The reason why I am running for the school board again, and currently I am also on the at Santa Clara County Office of Education as a professional leadership coach for the newly promoted principals in the entire county. My job is to coach them to make sure that they can navigate their own, their newly appointed positions. So I guide them through that. The reason why I'm running, because I have my grandchildren going to school here, attending our school. And the fact that I've dedicated my entire life to making sure that our students are prepared for college and careers as well as for their safety. These are challenging times. So that's the reason why I'm running.
So the reason why that I'm running, like I mentioned before, Berryessa is the community that raised me. I really want to give back to the community and be able to give the perspective of a lifelong resident and a past Berryessa student. And right now, I currently serve as a district representative for an assembly member who serves on the education committee in the state assembly and the education committee on the sub-finance. And so I already have an understanding of how we can bring funding from the state levels to our schools. And I understand what the process is like and how we can coordinate with different levels of government to bring that funding back to our schools. And also, these students are our future. You know, I want to stay in Berryessa for as long as I can. And so I really want to make sure that every student is given the best education that they have. They're given the resources that they need to succeed. And coming out of the pandemic, making sure that they have the resources to catch up if they need to, or if they want to get ahead, they have those resources available as well.
Yeah, so I told you a little bit about my background, and to me, it's it's all about the education. Having 3 kids, to me, schools are extremely important, but not only for my own children, but for the everybody else's kids, every neighbor, every one of my neighbors in Berryessa. And for those of you who don't have children or whose children have grown up, as schools are important. They're important to neighborhoods. They're a cornerstone. A foundation for strong neighborhoods. Good schools make great neighborhoods. And so to me, that's why that's important. And my background, well, as I mentioned a little bit, I was an education reporter. That was my first job out of college. And so I got to go to school board meetings. I got to see firsthand the difference that a school board member makes and seeing how decisions they make on the dais translates into what happens in the classroom and what happens at schools. So that's why I decided to take this path. And I think that parental involvement is important, to the well-being of children and to education. And I don't think, basically joining a school board is the highest level you could take, right, in involvement as a parent. So that's why I'm running for re-election.
I just see my background, just being here over 8 years and a half. I want to join the school board and make sure we have more programs for the students, and we can enhance our school the reputation. We can compare to the other school district such as the Saratoga, Cupertino. Maybe it's too big, but I think we can achieve the goal.
Thank you. No clapping, please. No clapping. Thank you. What, Jariah, you're going to be first this time. What are the 3 major issues facing our school district, and how would you deal with them?
So the 3 main issues that Berryessa is facing right now is the number of students declining in our schools. Every pupil brings funding to our schools. And so we're losing students to charter schools, or they're moving out of Berryessa. They can't afford living here. So that's one of the main issues. Another issue is making sure that we close the learning gap for students. Like I mentioned earlier, students may be falling behind due to the digital divide or any other circumstance they may have at home. And the last issue that our students are facing, is making sure that they're safe at our schools and making sure that they feel comfortable going to our campuses, and making sure that our parents are happy that our students are going to campus, making sure our campuses are clean, making sure that our students' mental health and wellness as well, and to address all these issues. And I really want to address all these issues on the school board. Like I said before, I really want to make sure that every student is given the care that they need and get parental feedback and our feedback from our teachers as well on how to solve these issues. Community collaboration is really important in addressing in all of these issues.
So as Jariah mentioned, losing our, or decreasing student enrollment. So as she said, students equal funding. So we're losing students, we're losing funding. Even though the state is in a good economic situation right now, we're still losing funding because we're losing students. So we have to find ways to increase funding, right? So it's my feeling that we have to innovate. We have to be creative in how we can increase school funding. So I think partnerships with, maybe corporations, an educational foundation, establishing an educational foundation to help raise some funds for schools, for our local schools. And also, I think, so that's, the main issue is obviously funding and everything's related to that. And that relates to school facilities, to staffing levels. And something else we have to do is attract, I think we have to, schools have to be competitive. We have to attract students, from other districts and give them a reason to come to Berryessa. So I think that we have to increase our options for instructional programs, such as the Mandarin program, maybe something related to tech or maybe another language or maybe an art. But yeah, so basically it's declining enrollment, it's, student funding, and then innovative programs. Those are kind of the three big issues that I think are facing the district right now.
Thank you. I think the first issue is the student decline. So the first we will figure out why the student decline and check out the population and what maybe they move out and figure out why. The second, I think the most important is the teachers resigning rate and their salary. If we want the student to get a better education, we should hire more teachers and pay them more salary. I really don't know why in California, in whole nation, it seems the teachers not really respect the job. That's why we have to figure out, pay teacher more, get the kids get a better education. And the third one, maybe we can ask a state to give our more fund from the property tax, because education comes first, everything it will be good. Thank you.
Thank you. I think what's facing all of the districts in the state of California right now is the fact that it's declining enrollment, and we are not immune to that in our own school district. So one way I think that we can attract more students is what we have right now. And you've already, Dr. Fuentes had already mentioned the whole idea of dual immersion program, where we can actually attract students from other school districts. I would like to see that expanded. We're talking about teaching our kids to be prepared for the global 21st century global citizens, and a language and learning about other people. This would be an attractive way of trying to recruit more students coming from school districts. The other part of that, we need to be creative in our programs, and to be creative and innovative at the same time. So those are other things, and be partners with our community. We have to find ways to be able to partner with the communities, community schools, and so forth. So that's what I would like to see. But the seriousness of it all right now is the declining enrollment.
Okay, Hugo, you go first. What elements of the district's budget do you believe should be reduced in order to respond to the steadily declining student population and structural deficits identified in the latest budget? Will you consider consolidating schools?
Yeah, well, we've been fortunate to, to be able to sidestep some of the issues related to the decline in enrollment, because we've gotten, enough funding from the state, including a lot of, one-time funds. And like I said in my previous response, to me, the solution is to find ways to raise more money on our own as a school district. But I mean, if we can't do that, then that's, I mean, most of the money that school districts spend, including our own, is through, staffing levels. So, and we've done some reductions to staffing through attrition by giving retirement incentives. But there comes a point, right, if we get to that, layoffs are necessary. So, I mean, I really hope that we can find ways to not get to that level. And obviously, yeah, other districts they've closed schools, and that's a reality. And I'm hoping that, and that's why I'm saying that, we need to be innovative. We need to be competitive to attract more students from other districts, so we don't have to go down that path. Because I know, I don't want to close a school. And, I know neighbors hate that. So yeah, we have to figure out ways before it gets to that.
I'm not really familiar with the whole budget we have for our school district. At the point when I just, as the Hogo said, I really don't want our school get closed. It's really hard for us, for the parents, and for our community. As soon as we close the school, it means our fund will continue. I'm not sure, but will get less and less. I really don't want this will happen. If something, I think maybe we can ask for some donation. We have some people, the charity, some education charity, they can help us because they know that this kind of charity, they should send out to support our kids. Maybe, I don't know. Thank you.
Velma.
Thank you. It is declining enrollment really is a very, very serious matter. Truly, I'm not in favor of closing our schools because it presents a chaotic situation for many communities. But we have to really be realistic at times about these kinds of situations. Consolidating, I think is really it's really a problem. It's quite problematic, but sometimes it will come to that. I hope that it will never come to that because I have experience doing that when I was still teaching, and it created an awful lot of division. And the other part to that is finding teachers too. Many of ours, we have to put teachers in different places. In other words, placement of teachers that are in one school, we have to move them to the other. And the reason for that is because of the declining enrollment as well. So consolidating schools, even though I am truly against it, but sometimes we really have to have an open mind to see what the solutions could be.
Yeah, like my colleagues said up here, I am also against consolidating schools. I hope that will never happen. And, when we do come down to a downturn, what should happen is that we should lobby at the state level, lobby at the higher levels, and make sure that we can get funding at the state, because the state is where all the money comes from. We have to make sure that we collaborate with different levels of government to see what we can do to really increase the amount of money that can be brought to our schools, and what things that we could do to negate that is maybe delay some upgrades to our schools or delay major projects like that if absolutely needed. And I believe that that funding can be brought back from the state level. I'm not sure if you all heard the news, but Assemblymember Lee did secure $10 million for Piedmont Middle's gym. And so I think funding like that, really communicating to our stakeholders and letting them know, hey, we need funding at this time. We aren't able to, but we would like to, and really letting them know this is what we need to do and this is how we can help.
Thank you. Lihuan, it's your turn to be first. There is substantial evidence that online instruction required by COVID mandates has devastated student learning in reading and math. Please give us your thoughts on this.
Okay, thank you. This is a really good question. I can tell you, I have been in the school for 4 quarters, and I stayed at home, watch the screen every day. Meanwhile, I listen to class, and meanwhile, I go online shopping. I feel this is a terrible, 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 terrible distant learning, especially online. I think from now on, we should prevent this happen again. It's really not good for the students. They cannot learn anything. And meanwhile, distracted by everything. Even from my adult, I cannot concentrate on learning. I look stupid in the screen. Yeah, for myself, okay, and not for myself. So I really don't like study online. That's for me is horrible. I'm sure for the student, I think the parents can get an answer. Thank you.
Velma.
Thank you. It is true that during COVID, it has presented a great deal of problems for the learning, the loss of learning of our students. As far as reading is concerned, it is true also that our students all the way up to 4th grade, the state of California students rank behind the rest of the nation. The one thing I think about what's the situation that we can correct with that is California really has not adopted a comprehensive literacy program for our students, ensuring that our students can read all the way up to grade level in 3rd grade. We are only realizing that situation now. So I would like to urge that the state of California examine this situation because this is truly very, very problematic. As far as math is concerned, we can expand the tutorial centers. There's so many resources that we can do. The community schools, we can partner with our community schools where where the kids can do recreational activities and so forth, where they can also increase their academics there. It's all about partnership, relationship, and collaboration with our communities.
So this is the exact reason why I'm running, because I understand the impacts that the pandemic has left on our students. And the digital divide has really exacerbated that. You know, our students of color who don't have access to stable Wi-Fi, they're not able to do their homework. And so we really want to prevent something like that from happening. And so to mitigate this, and what I'm really advocating for is that we have homework centers at all of our schools. We have one-on-one tutoring and making sure that students receive the help that they need. As a kid going through Berryessa, I was really shy. I never wanted to speak in class. And so I understand what it's like to be in a classroom with a bunch of students and not wanting to ask a question. And so this is why we really need to give our students one-on-one help and meet them where they're at and be sure that we can close that digital divide and mitigate that learning loss with those extra programs after school.
So online learning did have an effect on our students. And you can see it in the test scores, you know, the test scores, and especially in some groups have dropped a little bit. We were doing great progress before. And I mean, that was a tough situation. That's probably one of the toughest decisions, or it was a series of decisions we had to make, you know, during that whole 2-year period. Should the students go back in class, into the classroom? Should they not? And even the parents were divided. It's not like we had consensus of parents saying, yes, you know, we want to make sure that students go back into the classroom. Some parents didn't. And they said, absolutely not. It's not a safe environment. And actually in Berryessa, before the pandemic even broke, we had parents saying, you know what, they shouldn't be going into the classroom because it's going to be a dangerous situation. So that's I think where, you know, you need that level-headed decision-making and, you know, people who listen, you know, such as myself, who listen to the community. And that's what we tried to do. But our teachers did a great job. You know, I think getting back to in-person last year, our students are making progress and they're really catching up, but they did lose a lot. And I hope we don't have to go into that situation again, but now we're better prepared. We know, you know, when we provided them the tools, and teachers were having the resources and the training, you know, and just in a hurry trying to get that. And we gave students, you know, the notebooks, the electric notebooks and stuff like that, so they could, you know, have the online instruction. But they did lose something. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Thank you. All right, Selma, we're back to you starting. What is your position on the noble tiny home issue? If you get elected, how will you support your position on this issue?
Thank you. It is true that we have so many homeless people here in the city of San Jose. My position regarding the tiny homes and will always be is that I am not against tiny homes, and I certainly am not against homeless people. But to put those tiny homes near a school is, to me, intolerable. We've got students, young students going back and forth to school, going to libraries. And it's just, the whole situation is just bad. I would not support any tiny homes being planted, being built in close to any school in San Jose. Not only here, but in any school, period.
Go ahead.
Yeah, to really echo what Thelma said, I also agree the homelessness crisis is one of the biggest issues that our community, California as a whole face. So I'm not against tiny homes. And I also believe that it is a case by case basis. You know, we need feedback from our community to know where they're placed. And so the Noble site definitely was not a good option. I wouldn't support it in the future because of that proximity, but also because it was on park property. We shouldn't be taking away parkland. And so we need to make sure that we get community feedback in the future. You know, there wasn't a lot of feedback from our community when that site was chosen. And so I really want to make sure that, you know, we get feedback from our parents, our teachers, you know, making sure that a future site when it's selected is heard by the community, but we need those homes. I'm saying we need those homes though, because, you know, homelessness impacts everyone. It impacts families, it impacts students. So we need to build more housing, period.
So yeah, so that was you know, the last big kind of complex issue that we had as a school board to face, this tiny home decision. And this is, I mean, it's a city issue, but obviously, you know, being a school district, being the, you know, one of the bigger stakeholders in the community, we had to have a say in this. And our board unanimously approved sending a letter of opposition to the Noble Tiny Homes community. And for me, there were a lot of reasons for that, right? I didn't know. And again, yeah, I'm not opposed to tiny homes, you know, or housing the unhoused folks, but we didn't know how many people were going to be there. We didn't know who was going to be there. We didn't know what kind of oversight there was going to be on this community. We didn't know what it was going to look like. There were so many questions, and the city just failed, you know, to engage and to, you know, to notify the stakeholders and to inform us of what was going to happen there. And now we have a huge problem regarding the unhoused, you know, in our neighborhoods, and schools are not exempt from that. We have unhoused folks going onto school property, and right now, you know, if an RV wanted to park across the street from a school, they could do that, and the city would not remove them. So would I be in favor of having a controlled, safe environment, you know, possibly for families, disabled folks, or elderly folks, you know, somewhere near a school? And I don't know what near means, right? That's also to be defined. So I have a lot of questions regarding that, as opposed to the way things are now. Yeah.
For my personally, I really have an empathy for homeless. I really hope all the homeless have a perfect home, comfortable home for them to live every night. But for a tiny home, put a nearby the school, cross the elementary school, I don't agree with, because they're totally put the children in dangerous situation. We don't know what kind of people in a tiny home. We don't know what the outside environment, who would be here. Will attract some of the drug agitators, something I really don't want. And secondly, if the city want to build a tiny home, they can really choose some of the commercial area, have a lot of facility, facility to help them, and a good transportation, grocery shopping mall, and just put it in front of school and the nearby middle school and 2 elementary school. That's really not a good idea. I think I really don't agree. Okay, I strongly don't agree.
Thank you. Jariah, you're first on this question. What is your position on the use of charter schools? Do you think charter schools are an effective way to serve students?
I believe that Berryessa should remain a primarily public school. I understand that charter school can fill some of those gaps, but there are a lot of the times where students leave Berryessa schools because of a charter school. And so we really want to make sure that our students are attracted to Berryessa and we stay in Berryessa. And the question that I have to charter schools is how we can collaborate and how we can learn from them to see how we can improve our own Berryessa schools. You know, I want to make sure that our Berryessa schools remain the best that they can be. And if there's a gap, we want to make sure that we close that gap and we're able to address it so that students don't leave and parents and families don't leave our schools because of that gap. And so, like mentioned before, I really want to encourage the use of the program that they have at Cherrywood, the Mandarin program, almost was a charter school. And so now we're able to integrate that into our Cherrywood school, and we're able to have more and more students come to Berryessa. And so I believe that Berryessa should stay public. We should get feedback and how we can improve our schools so that students don't leave for charter schools.
So I would ask the question, why would a charter school be better than our schools? What is it that they can do that we can't? And why can't we rise to that level, right? So the challenge to me is then, how do we make our schools better? It's not about, being against charters. I think that we can achieve, our students can achieve, and our schools can provide a better education than any charter. And if not, well, then why not? And what can we do to make sure that we do, right? And yeah, Jariah is right. I mean, we have to keep our students in our schools because our schools are the foundation. We can't weaken that, by having our students go somewhere else. We have to keep them here, but we have to provide them with the resources they need. And I think that's important. Charters, I mean, I have some questions about charters. Are they for profit? They don't have the same oversight that public schools do. And some say, well, that's a benefit because, then they have more freedom. Yeah, but then they also don't have, as much oversight. We have these very strict regulations regarding who teachers are, regarding the programs that we have, regarding where our funding goes. Nothing's hidden, everything's public. I mean, you can all come to our school board meeting and see how we make our decisions. If you want to inspect our instructional materials, you're free to do that. If you want to visit a classroom, you're free to do that. So I think our schools, we don't need charters because our schools are excellent. And if we're lagging, then we can bring them up to par. Thank you.
I think charter school takes away the school funding. This is a big issue. This conflict with our public school. For public school, we get a certain amount of the funding. A little amount of charter school takes away our funding. For charter, on the other hand, the charter for charter school, we should have a specific program that we can achieve. Otherwise, I'm not bothered with the charter school. Thank you.
Thank you. I am a public school teacher through and through, and I take it to heart. We should be very, very proud that in the Berryessa Union School District, we have no charter schools. The reason why is because we've got excellent schools here. We've got fantastic teachers. We got the resources, and we will always support our students because really, with charter schools, there's not much oversight. We don't know who's watching or monitoring them. And if we have it here, just imagine Berryessa Union School District does not have any control over that particular school. If they're going to be here, we want to control and monitor the school system. That's why I don't have anything against charter schools because that gives parents a chance to choose what they want. But to tell you frankly, I am a public school teacher at heart, always.
Thank you. Hugo, you will start this question. What is your opinion on outsourcing jobs in our schools to for-profit companies?
Schools should not be for-profit entities. Schools, the money schools receive should all go to students. So I am, against that. Again, so with it's the same issue as the charter schools, right? When you have outside contractors to provide services that in-house staff can provide, you don't have, so you're lacking oversight. And I've actually heard examples of this where they're, districts outsource, say transportation services, and the bus drivers don't have proper background checks. Do you want to know who's watching your kids? And schools are very thorough because they have to be by law, right? An outside company, I don't know if we can have the same guarantees, the same safeguards that a public school will provide. So, and definitely not for profit. So yes, no, I'm against outsourcing, and I'm against anybody profiteering from schools.
For me, I want to say only if it has to be necessary. Otherwise, I would go against profit, outsource or profit. That's all.
Thank you. Let me see. Was that the last one? Oh, Selma.
Thank you. My view on that is that schools are not really for profit. We will respect labor laws and all that kind of stuff and all those things that are important. But we are not in the business for profit. We're in the business of educating our kids, making sure and concentrating to making sure that they are going to be successful, that they can be successful 21st century global citizens. So we are not in the business. I'm truly against it. We are not in the business for profit.
I heavily agree with everyone up here that schools should not seek out for-profit corporations for what our schools need. We need to invest back into our schools, and we have amazing staff, amazing faculty, and students as well. So we need to make sure that we get what we need from within our schools and, get from the local community as well. I don't think that our schools should be for profit. It's a public entity. Education should not be for profit. We're here to make sure that our students receive the best education that they possibly can and to build up the community around them to make sure that, they're able to give back to the community and do what we can to make sure that they're able to be lifelong learners and leaders as well.
Thank you. Luan, this is your question to start. Are you familiar with critical race theory? How would BUSD students benefit from this curriculum? I'll read it again. Are you familiar with critical race theory? How would BUS students benefit from this curriculum? I didn't write.
Let me ask again. It means a race mean a different color or something else?
I can't answer that. I just don't, this was the way the question was written. And
This is for me, this is a kind of tough question because I'm new here. I just want to say I don't want this one because I really don't know how to answer this problem. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you. Thelma.
Thank you. Critical race theory, or CRT, is very controversial, as we know it. It is such a controversial issue. 36 states right now, 36 states have restricted the teachings of the contributions of the people of color to our American history. And that's really, to me, it's quite sad because we are a diverse society and we should be learning about other people's contribution to our country. In this district, in our mission statement, we are preparing our students to be successful global citizens. If they don't know anything about the contributions of other people who came here, how are they, that we need to prepare them, the fact that, so that they will know what's happening in the world. Someday they will be CEOs, they will be negotiating. There are certain nuances that these kids need to know. So to me, the 36 states that have already banned this or restricted this, I am really sad about that because many of these students will never learn about the types of contributions of the different ethnic groups who have contributed to our history.
Thank you.
I heavily agree with what Thelma was explaining. Our students in Berryessa are so wildly diverse. When I went to Berryessa, there were children from walks of all lives. There was no one same student. And so it's really necessary for them to understand and learn about culture and how the world came to be from different points of views. And so they really need to understand that, becoming global citizens, San Jose itself, California as a state is very diverse. And so they need to understand the different lenses of what it's like, what the world is like from different points of views. And so it's important for them to understand, what goes on in different parts of the world, how it affected our country, and how, race affected how our community is today. And so it's really important for them to understand that.
All right, critical race theory. I had a feeling you guys are gonna ask a question about that, but truth is, we've never discussed it. And from what I've heard, it's something that's more relevant, at the high school and actually more at the college and grad school level. I've heard it on the news. I've heard people's opinions on it, but do I really know what that means? Not really. And it's never come up, before our board. Obviously, if it did, I would want to get all the information about it and how it affects our students. Do I believe that students should learn about diversity? Yes. And, I learned about diversity when I was in school, and we could probably do a little bit better job of doing that. I've also heard, some of the states that, that Thelma mentioned have banned, teaching ethnic studies or the contributions of minorities. People have said, oh, it's making the white kids feel guilty. And, obviously I don't agree with that either. And I think that both sides, right, they're, I don't know, maybe exaggerating a little bit. I think it's something that, I think it's a phrase that's being used to divide us more than anything. But yeah, in terms of it ever coming up or me really knowing about it to tell you, yes, I'm for it or against it, I don't know enough yet. If it comes up to the board, then, I can tell you, but I'd have to learn a whole lot more about it first.
Thank you. Thelma, you're first on this question. How would you support or encourage the non-English proficient parents to work with the schools and district?
Thank you. I came here as an English language speaker as a very young girl. And my parents were a little bit shy to ask questions about what was happening in the school. They accepted everything because they were brought up that way. Whatever the school says, you obey. The situation is that we need to provide conditions, the right conditions for our parents so that they feel welcome in our school system. When they have a sense of belonging, a sense of acceptance, that will help them to be more involved in the school. And not only for the parents, but the same thing too for the students. When they feel accepted, they have a feeling of acceptance, the feeling of that they are feeling well, that they feel welcome. The thing with that is it will motivate them and they can become successful because they know they're wanted and accepted.
So I'm really happy that you asked this question because as a student going through Berryessa, I had a lot of friends who, and even beyond Berryessa, who had parents whose first language wasn't English. My classmates translated materials for their parents because they didn't understand how to fill out the paperwork. They didn't understand what was going on. And so to really address this problem, we need translators, we need translated material. When I was at San Jose State, I actually advocated to have more translators on campus and to have translated materials for all of our international students and for all our students whose first language wasn't English. And so we really need to, meet our parents where they're at too and see if they need translated materials for phone calls or for, teacher meetings. If they need those materials, we can provide that to them because it's really important that our parents and our students don't have to be the burden of, having to translate for their parents.
Can you repeat the question, please?
How would you support or encourage the non-English proficient parents to work with the schools and the district?
Yeah, so, as I shared before, I'm an immigrant. My parents were immigrants, didn't know any English. So yeah, translation is definitely important. There's also a cultural factor to that, right? Where, I'm Latin American, where we have this there's a separation between, big important agencies, such as a school and, little old parents. So we have to break down those barriers and let parents know, hey, please come to our school. You're invited. Please give us your feedback. So it's beyond translation. It's also, there's a cultural aspect that we have to address. And we have to figure out what those factors are. And then, try to break down those factors. And, just being cognizant about it, I think is important as well. Trying to figure out what those barriers are, besides the language barrier, trying to figure out what they are and trying to break them so we can reach parents and let them know that their input is valuable, and that they're welcome to, speak to the principal, speak to the teachers.
As I'm new here, English is my second language. I know how difficult when you are not an English first language is how to communicate with the other native speaker. For my opinion is that we should maybe sometimes we need a volunteer to help the parents to communicate with the school board and the district. Secondly, maybe we can encourage the parents to go to adult school, learn some English, and let them communicate with the school board and the school. Yes, meanwhile, the volunteer should be in a position to translate. At this moment, I think the parents can learn the English, improve them, let them get more involved in the society. That's all. Thank you.
Go ahead. Oh, are we all done with that one? All righty. Jariah, you're the first. There is a major commitment to narrowing the achievement gap that exists with Hispanic and African American students. Do you agree with this priority, or do you believe the BUSD should focus on high standards for all? I didn't write that.
I do agree that Berryessa should have high standards for all, but I really want to encourage we bring these students to grade level and that they can go beyond that. I really want to make sure that we meet our students where they're at and provide the resources that they need to succeed. And so a lot of the time, if a student is struggling in the classroom and they may not be able to ask for help, we want to be able to provide additional resources where they could catch up. And so students who need the additional help and don't have the money to, afford a private tutor or go to a paid after school program, our school should be able to close that gap and be able to give them tutoring sessions if they need it, have after school homework centers so that they can collaborate with their peers and help each other catch up. And so I really believe that we need to make sure that all of our students are being at grade level or beyond.
So I think that, there are valid cultural related obstacles to education, such as the one I mentioned earlier about, having this divide between parents, Latino parents, and institutions. But I think there are other issues. So if someone, is say Latino, there might be language barriers. So we have to look at that. There might be socioeconomic issues. So we have to look at that. There are a lot of factors and a lot of variables that stand in the way of a kid getting education. So we have to see what the relationship is between that. I don't think only because a kid, because a kid is Black or Latino, that's the reason why they're underachieving. Maybe, they have both parents are working, at nights and they don't have anyone to help them with their homework. Maybe, the parents didn't achieve a high level of education. So there's more to that. I think there's a whole lot more than just the culture. I was just looking at the test scores today. We just got some figures, and that's actually one of the questions I'm going to ask tomorrow at a board meeting. Is there a way to cross-reference, say, socioeconomic data with ethnic background and that kind of thing? So there's a whole lot more work we have to do to figure out what the barriers are. It's not just about culture, but there might be other things related to culture that stand in the way.
Could you please repeat that? Thank you.
Yes. There is a major commitment to narrowing the achievement gap that exists with Hispanics and African American students. Do you agree with this priority? Or do you believe the BUSD should focus on high standards for all?
I think it should be higher for all, but we have to figure out why Latino and Black students are the grade behind. Maybe their parents don't have access for to their homework. But at this point, I think we maybe should organize some tutoring class special for this time. I still want to use volunteer and to tutor their the math or something else. Or, some of the Asian students, probably the first year here, they have a language issue. We can help them either. Also, we can help a peer, for example, I'm really good at math. I can help your math. My English is not very good. You can help me my math, my English. I think we should improve together, not just leave anyone behind. Thank you.
Yes, I do believe that we need to have higher standards for every student. It is also true that our African American and our Latino students are lagging behind. So we need to bring them all along. And the reason for that really is that our students, our Latino students, sometimes they feel isolated. And so we need to make sure that they are welcome at school and that we are providing the resources that's needed, because that's really very, very important. The achievement gap that we're talking about really is the opportunity gap. It's just that we need to create more opportunities for the students, and that was very much revealed during the pandemic. The opportunities for the students who couldn't even access because they did not have the internet access, the broadband and so forth. And so it is more, what are we going to do to provide more opportunities for our students so that the achievement gap equals opportunity gap for our kids?
Okay. I keep changing it around because we're really running out of time. So let's see. All right, let's try this question. Let's see who would go. Hugo. Let's see, Hugo, I'm going to ask you this question. What after-school programs do you believe are needed in the district? Do you have an estimate of how much it would cost to staff and implement? What is your vision for the future of the district? Ooh, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I have no idea how much an after school program would have to cost. We'd have to, figure out, well, first of all, what kind of program we want, what kind of staffing, how many students we're going to serve. There's all kinds of things that go into the cost. What kind of programs are valuable? I think, obviously, and some teachers offer this on their own. They offer after school help for math, so a student can go back to class and get some math help. We have a paraeducator at Morel Middle School who offers like an arts and crafts, and again, just on her own. It's a club. And they can go in and learn arts and crafts. And that's all stuff, right? Stuff that keeps students, that not only helps them learn or that helps in what they're learning in the classroom to supplement that, but also that keeps them interested in school. So there are a lot of things. I mean, arts programs, obviously, if they need help or support in the core subjects, reading, language arts, math, that kind of thing, those are important. But yeah, but just things that will help the student stay engaged. And give them a reason to go to school. So for some students, that they're in music and that's the reason why they go to school. And then, as a side benefit, they learn. So I think that, offering stuff like that is valuable. Basically anything we could offer, to help students and to keep them engaged would be helpful.
Ma'am, could you please repeat the question again? Too
Yes,
long.
that's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's all right. What after-school programs do you believe are needed in the district? Do you have an estimate of how much it would cost to staff and implement? What is your vision for the district, for the future of the district? What is your vision for the future of the district?
I think after school program, I would like to be, diversity. We can be for the, for the tutoring classes, my key point, to the math, other stuff and all the stuff they want. And meanwhile, we can also organize the parents together or some volunteer together, get free for tutor students. That means that we don't have to use too much of our budget. And for our future school board, I would like to say, I really want our school district as school #1 in California. It's my goal. Maybe 2 ambitious. Thank you.
Thank you. Thelma, you're up.
We have tutorial programs, and that should continue. And especially the summer programs, and we should be really, I applaud our school district because #1, that our school district really is focusing on how to bring up everybody, to bring all of the students up to par. So the resources will be needed in order to do that. Our summer school program should be expanded. I thought we had really great summer school program, especially in terms of the loss of learning because of COVID. I would like to see that really expanded. My vision for our school district is this, that we continue to provide excellent education to our students, because having excellent schools equates to a thriving community. Thank you.
So the after-school programs that I'm really advocating for are homework centers and tutoring centers. And the main reason why is, to make sure that all of our students are caught up to grade level. And I actually volunteered to help, help elementary school students with their tutoring. And so having volunteers come in, the high schoolers can help. When I went to Piedmont Hills High, we had a homework center that was run exclusively by students for the students. And that was really helpful. I never was amazing at math. And so I always needed help and to come in, my parents were working, they weren't available to help after school. And so I think it's really integral that we have additional help if the student needs it. And if they need enrichment programs as well, I think that we should offer that too. And I want to see programs where, like Hugo said, where students are interested in coming to school and having the opportunity to build those connections, make more friends, and be happy. That's my vision for Berryessa. I want every single student to succeed, be happy, make lifelong friends. All my friends I actually have today are from Berryessa. And so I want to continue that and foster that community and make sure that every single student in Berryessa is a lifelong learner and a leader as well.
Thank you. I'm going to end the questions now. There's a couple of questions left, but they really don't pertain to people that have not served on the school board already. So it wouldn't be fair, I don't believe. So I'm going to give you 1 minute. We're really over time because we have to be out of the building pretty soon. So I'm going to give you each 1 minute to summarize. And you've given so many good answers already and how you feel, but summarize what you would like people to take away from this evening. Thank you. Thelma.
I am really, really honored to represent our students in the Berryessa Union School District, because my job I feel that my job as a board member is representing the students, the school children's interest. And because they are our #1 client, there's nobody, they are our client. So what I would like to see is that I want to continue being part of that involvement. I want to continue being part of the decision making. Whatever contributions I can make because of my experience, I want to be part of that decision making, because I really have dedicated my entire life and career to making sure that our students are being provided the best education possible in this community. Thank you.
So thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Just remember how to pronounce my name. My name is Jiraiya, like Mariah, but with a J. And, I am a lifelong resident of Berryessa. I went to our Berryessa schools. I've lived in Berryessa my entire life. This community is where I call home, and I want to be given the opportunity to give back to the community that raised me. I have the experience from working at the state level on bringing funding from the state level down to our local schools. And, I have endorsements from Hugo, from Thelma, from Councilmember Cohen, and a lot of other people in our community so that I can really be successful in becoming a school board member. So again, I'm a lifelong resident of Berryessa. I'm a product of our schools, and I really want to make sure that all of our students are lifelong leaders and learners, and that we can make sure that our schools can be the best that they can possibly be.
All right, thank you folks for being here. I think, that involvement in our community, involvement in our schools is crucial. And that's why I want to continue to serve on the school board. We've done some great things in the last 8 years. There's still a lot to do. And I think that, I can contribute a lot. I think, I'm good at coming up with different ideas. I'm good at, building consensus. I listen to the community. I care about our staffs. So I think I have just a lot of qualities that will help me make great decisions on the school board, and continue making great decisions on the school board. And I want to continue to serve because I care about Berryessa. This is my home, and it's going to be my home, as long as I can afford it. And yeah, I have kids in the school, so I really do care about, I have a personal stake in the school. So, and hopefully you guys will, see fit to vote for me one more time. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for the time being here. I really appreciate that. I just want to say, I want to run a school board. I just want to use my personal, effort to help the community because I care about the community. I want to help the student because I care about the students' education. I want everyone get an equal opportunity, and I care about our whole community because I want our community better, beyond the better. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank all four of you for coming tonight and giving your opinions about what was going on. And now you can all clap for them. I have a couple announcements to make, and then you can hang out and talk to individual people if you'd like, but help us put up the chairs so we can get out of here by 9 o'clock at the latest. Okay. I was going to ask Ty to give an update on the park project, but we're not very far along. Do you want to say anything or wait till next month? Okay.
There's a page out on the counter, kind of gives you a report on two things. One is the Naughty Noble effort, and the other is the pond restoration. Naughty Noble effort is extraordinary, it's organic, it's amazing, it's doing wonderful things. They ain't complete yet, but Berryessa is providing umbrella over the funding to make sure it's handled transparently, and over the legal aspect of hiring an attorney for the case for preserving that land as a park, chart park. Providing that, and pond restoration is going to be challenged. But that late approval and the funding has not been received as far as I know yet until the cycle. We have the funding, we can now begin to spend it and begin to exercise that. And I'm always there for questions.
All right. Next month, our regular meeting is going to be October 10th. And then we also have the mayor candidate forum. The two finalists for mayor will be held on Wednesday, excuse me, October 19th here. So we will be sponsoring that forum. So, and then we have a BCAC board meeting next Monday at the Berryessa School Board room at 7 o'clock. Okay. There we go. All right. I hear a motion to adjourn. Help yourself to water, do some chit chatting, put a chair up if you can. We appreciate your being here tonight.
We're all going to
I do want to let everyone know that our very own Linda Locke is being recognized by the mayor and the city of San Jose at the State of the City event on Thursday, September 22nd. So she will be the honoree from District 4, and the mayor will be presenting her with an award there. So if anyone would like to come to the State of the City event, please join us downtown San Jose at California Theater for that event, where she will be presented with a commendation from the city. The event starts at 6 p.m. on the 22nd. I think you have to register in advance just to make sure there's seats. If you have trouble, let me know and we'll help you do that. Also, tomorrow we are adjourning the city council meeting in memory of John Samanik, who we unfortunately lost on August 8th after his battle with cancer. So tomorrow we'll be honoring him with an adjournment at the council meeting at 1:30.